So Deiveson Figueiredo versus Alex Perez just took place in the main event of UFC 255, Figueiredo versus Perez, and I'm so happy with the outcome of this fight for many reasons. One, I wanted it to happen. Two, I predicted it to happen. And three, it's just Deiveson Figueiredo. There's something about him right now in the flyweight division where you feel like this could be the guy to carry things forward and replace Demetrius Johnson. And not just replace Demetrius Johnson, but maybe even eclipse Demetrius Johnson. Now, I'm not saying he's going to do that in terms of title defenses, but maybe in terms of stardom and hype around his fights. Figueiredo is a real savage, and he got the job done by guillotine in the first round against Perez. Went for a little ankle. He went for a little heel hook at one point, like a weird little sweep to the heel hook that he went for. Then he adjusted it. Perez went on top, and Figueiredo just latched up the arm in guillotine from full guard on bottom. Perez taps. The fight's over. Figueiredo pretty respectful afterwards. I know there's some controversy in the stoppage, of course, because there's always going to be controversy, but Figueiredo did grab the cage. And the first time, it didn't really do anything. I do want to mention that because Aljamain Sterling right now is going crazy on Twitter. I know he said he doesn't have a dog in the fight, but to go crazy the way Aljamain Sterling is going crazy about the cage grabs, you gotta be rooting for Perez, okay? If that's how crazy you're gonna get, because I know they were fence grabs, but the first one, Perez was doing nothing with him, and he just grabbed the cage. Okay, so Perez is pushing him against the cage, and Figueiredo grabs the cage. The referee slaps his hand away, and that happens. The second one, they're shimmying over. He grabs it once, but then he stops grabbing it, and he starts just putting his palm on it, just to sort of guide himself around. So I don't even think it was intentional there, and I don't think it affected the stoppage in any way. Like, if you're going to get arm guillotined like that, you're going to get arm guillotined like that from Deiveson Figueiredo. Like, maybe it gave Figueiredo a bit more balance, but the fact that he went for that heel hook and the sweep to underneath and then went for the guillotine afterwards, I don't think the cage grab had anything to do with that. The second one wasn't too major. The first one was the only time he really sunk his fingers in on the cage, and that was when Perez was just holding him on a single leg against the cage. So fair enough. There was a cage grab, but Figueiredo gets it done. First round submission. I said in this fight that Deiveson Figueiredo is going to go out there, land some shots on the feet. Perez is going to land some shots back. Then Perez is going to shoot a lousy takedown, and Figueiredo is going to latch up the arm in guillotine and get a submission in the first round. You know what I'm saying? I'm very happy with my prediction there, because I thought I didn't see Perez getting KO'd, because Perez has got a really good chin and people don't give him enough credit for that, but I definitely could see him getting submitted because he's been submitted many times in his career before, and because of the reason of shooting bad takedowns. So I saw it as a little bit of a tendency. He gets it done. Does Figueiredo against Alex Perez with a submission. It's just so good to have a flyweight finishing guys over and over and over again in the first round. And I also want to say afterwards as well, because there's not really much to talk about in the fight. I mean, there was a couple good body kicks. Figueiredo showed that he can kick a little bit more, which was nice, because I haven't really seen too many big kicks from Figueiredo. He said his game plan afterwards, in the translating moment afterwards in the post-fight interview, he said that his plan was to go out there and kick with Perez, so he didn't want to kick with him. Like, just kick with Perez, remove the kick threat from Perez's game, then Perez shot the takedown, and then the guillotine happened. It was just beautiful to watch. It was crazy. Figueiredo's, first of all, his takedown defense originally, before they got to the cage, was amazing. I don't know how he stayed on his feet. He's ridiculously flexible. Got power for days, latches up submissions like it's nothing, and just gets it done. I don't think any other flyweight finishes that arm in guillotine. That's what I mean. It's not just like Figueiredo got an arm in guillotine and it was over. I don't think there's another flyweight that can generate the squeeze from that position the same way Figueiredo can. So he's doing things that other people just can't do physically because of how supreme he is genetically. I mean, it's very clear to see the guy was built for power and strength, and he's definitely taken his time. He looks calm out there. He was respectful afterwards. I want to talk about in the post-fight speech. There's nothing more to talk about in the fight, so let's talk all about afterwards and what's going to happen next, and also in the post-fight speech. No translator to begin with. But then Waleed Ismail just finished choking out Kron Gracie backstage, runs into the interview like, hey, it's me to translate. No one needed him. He wasn't the translator even. There was another translator. He just wasn't Waleed, but Waleed had to make sure he was in camera. I love Waleed Ismail. I'll love Waleed Ismail for the rest of the days. He's the biggest meme in the MMA world right now. I wanted to see him and Figueiredo side by side. I feel like that would be a much better situation to have if they were side by side doing the interview backstage. That would have been ideal, but still, amazing performance by Figueiredo. But one thing I do want to mention that I really did enjoy, you're talking about a champion who called out... He could have had Cody Garbrandt. If he called out Cody Garbrandt, he could have had a big name that would give him big pay-per-view sales, and he could have had a good chance at KOing Garbrandt in the first round, who shouldn't really be cutting down to the 125-pound division, has been KO'd 3 times in a row at the time as well, before recently bouncing back against the Sunsal. Got KO'd 3 times in a row at bantamweight. Now he wants to cut down to 125. Figueiredo says no, Brandon Moreno's earned his title shot. That's what I fucking love about this shit, man. That's what I fucking love about this fucking shit, man. When real champions step up and make real champion moves. I don't want the guy from another division that's a super fight to get me big money. I want the top contender that just had a good performance tonight against Brandon Royval. Moreno got it done. Of course, there was an arm that came out of the socket, but it looked like Moreno was getting the better of the fight anyway, so it wasn't too bad of a situation, because we can kind of see that Moreno was just out scrambling Royval in the fight, and he was doing good on the feet as well. But it was a good fight, and Figueiredo calls him out, and he calls him out not, which wasn't translated, by the way, which someone in my chat who I guess understands Portuguese mentioned. He said the word December. He wants back on the UFC 256 card, and I am a-okay with that happening. If they want to add Figueiredo onto that card as the co-main event, I'm good with it, because I know why he wants to come back in December against Moreno, is because if he waits for Garbrandt, he ain't fighting on a pay-per-view until April. Think how many champions we have going into next year that are going to need a card to be on. Adesanya's going to need a card. Weili Zhang's going to need a card. Amanda Nunes is going to get relocated to a card to fight Megan Anderson in that highly anticipated fucking bullshit fight. But still, Stipe Ngannou is going to need a card. Usman's going to need a card, and he already has a card. McGregor's already hogging the January card. No one's going to get a title fight there because they can't. Because McGregor's the top of the bill, they're not going to have any title fights on that card. Like, it just... Shevchenko's going to want to come back next year. Volkanovski's going to want to come back and make a defense. Habib won't be back ever, so all good, but still, you know what I mean? There's a problem right now. There's so many champions on standby, and if Figueiredo waits for a pay-per-view, he's going to be waiting till April. So I understand why he wants to move fast and get back in there in December. Make it happen. Let's just move on and make this hype train of the flyweight division continue, and I'll tell you this, even if Moreno beats Figueiredo, enough is done, in my opinion, to save the flyweight division. Deiveson Figueiredo is the man. He is. I didn't want to say it before the fight because I didn't want to curse myself, but I was rooting so hard for Deiveson Figueiredo to win, and he just performs every single time and gets it done, especially after that Shevchenko versus Maia fight, which was made my eyes bleed at many times, almost fell asleep. To be woken up by a Figueiredo performance afterwards was amazing. I'm looking forward to what's next. If he beats Moreno, then maybe I say do a different kind of fight just to help the division move on a little bit. But I like the way that he wants to keep things going because, listen, Brandon Moreno didn't take any damage in his fight with Brandon Royval. So that's a good matchup because he took no damage. Royval got his arm dislocated, so there's kind of a little bit there where he can just move on real quick. No problems, no injuries. Get back in there for December. They're both hyped names right now as well because they're hot off wins. I say announce their fight within the next week for December and make it happen because otherwise there ain't going to be a pay-per-view around and Figgy ain't no fight night flyweight champion. I'll tell you that for damn sure. This ain't Demetrius Johnson we're dealing with. This is the God of War. I was just... Everything about it, man. Everything about it. People saying that people jump on the bandwagon. I've been on the Figueiredo bandwagon since the fucking Alejandro Pantoja fight. I've been wanting him to win ever since then. Ariel Helwani acts like he was the first member of the Figueiredo fan club when he beat Benavidez in the rematch. Everyone knew that was going to happen in the rematch. If you didn't, then you were kind of weird, but still. I've been on the Figueiredo hype train for a while. I like Figueiredo. I've always rooted for him to win. He's a great style. He's always had great fights. Big finishes in the flyweight division. What more could you ask for him? Right now in the division, I say do Figueiredo versus Moreno. Joseph Benavidez versus Alex Perez rematch. Perez took no damage as well, let's not forget. So maybe in February, we do a Joseph Benavidez versus Alex Perez rematch. Moreno versus Figueiredo. Brandon Royval versus maybe a Rodrigo Bontorin, just to get him back in the win column. You've got Askar Askarov. Maybe do him versus David Dvorak. That would be a decent fight to make right now, but we'll see. I'm just looking forward to what happens with the bantamweight division next. Not the bantamweight, the flyweight division. And if Cody Garbrandt does want to move down, I say let him fight a flyweight first. I don't think Garbrandt can just jump the queue and earn a shot in the title fight. I don't think that makes any sense. I've never thought that makes any sense. There's a video on my channel talking about Cody Garbrandt's move to flyweight and how Moreno has earned the title shot. And I'm so glad that we have a champion that agrees with me here. Figgy thinks Moreno's earned it over Garbrandt, and I'm very happy with that. And also, I think Figgy knows this. Another big reason for him being on the December card. If he hasn't already earned Fighter of the Year, if he wins another championship fight in December against Moreno, he's 100% the Fighter of the Year. 100%. They were saying on the commentary that he beat Joseph Benavidez last year the first time. He beat him this year the first time at UFC Norfolk, you dummies. These guys, I swear, the commentators know nothing about the flyweight division. All of these analysts, like, they're trying to remember who Moreno has fought in their career, but, like, I'm just so happy. I'm so happy about this. Figueiredo, let me see what his Instagram followers are like. I'm addicted to the rise of Figueiredo right now. How many Instagram followers are we talking? What has he gained? 171. He was at 167 before the event started. That's 4.5K, and it's only been a matter of minutes since his fight was over. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully he moves around the 200K follower mark. And we've got something. He's going to do his little parade in Surrey. I can see it now. It's going to be an absolute Rona haven over in Brazil. But Figueiredo's a monster, man. So marketable. Added another highlight reel to his list. I swear, if he won this by decision, I was not going to be happy. I needed a finish. I was hoping, if I could perfect anything in this, if I could change one thing about how the fight went, I would say just knock him down once. Just another highlight, you know what I mean? But he's got the most finishes, tied with the most finishes in UFC flyweight history. If he gets another one in December, he breaks that record. And I know that people want to see the Demetrius Johnson fight. I want to see the Demetrius Johnson fight as well. That's a good fight to make. And I think it's a very interesting fight. And you know what? I'm doing nothing but picking Deiveson Figueiredo until the day he's gone. That's what I'll do. Picked him in the Benavidez fight. Picked him in this one by guillotine in the first round. I'm going to pick Figueiredo in every fight. But I will say this. The Brandon Moreno fight is the only fight I can see troubling him in the flyweight division. And I'm so glad that they're making it next, because it actually builds some anticipation after the Roy Val performance. Even though he tore his arm out of place, it was still a good performance. The only guy I see beating Figueiredo is maybe Moreno. But even then, it's close. Like, even then, I think Figueiredo beats him. Like, it's a tough division to beat Figueiredo right now. Moreno's the only chance they've got. Askarov, I feel like, is a little bit too meh with his performances. He never really lights someone up or just dominates someone. So I'm definitely going to be going with Figueiredo ruling the flyweight division from now on. But whatever he does next, I'm tuning in. Flyweight. Good division to be. And I'm so glad that Cejudo saved it last year. Or 2 years ago. Whenever it was. Feels like it's been no time whatsoever, because the lockdown is accelerating my life. And I'm going to be dead soon. Like and subscribe. Click that button up there. Figgy gets it done again. The Mission Impossible walkout. It was all there. I loved every second. Toodle pip. Subscribe.